Good evening. Welcome to Live United, a show brought to you by Monadnock United Way. My name is Kathy Harrington, and I am the president of Monadnock United Way. And I have here with me today Kelly Steiner, who is our collective impact director as well. And we are here to talk to you about the work of Monadnock United Way, certainly the history, the rich history of all the work that's been done over the years, and the future of Monadnock United Way, and how we partner with community members in order to address our most pressing issues in the Monadnock region. So welcome, and I'd like to just open up a dialogue with Kelly here this evening as we talk about United Way. United Way worldwide is about 125 years old. Monadnock United Way is 62 years old. So we've been in existence in about half the time that United Way worldwide has been in existence. And we've done some amazing work over the years in those 62 years. If you think about it, with the fundraising that has happened so far, we've raised about $55 million to allocate to critical human service needs in this region. So we're proud to be part of this work, and we're proud to talk with you about it and help build awareness about how you can partner with us and we can work together as a community. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, many people like to understand the fundraising and how we allocate those funds. And over the years, we've had a really diligent process with allocations. Our agency is run primarily by volunteers. We couldn't do the work that we do without the volunteers that we have. We mobilize hundreds of volunteers, not just with the campaign, but with some community initiatives that we do as well. With the fundraising, we like to talk about, people like to understand from a donor's perspective, how are my dollars being allocated and how do I know it's really making a difference? And over the years, we've had numerous volunteers from all over the region with diverse backgrounds really reviewing each agency that applies for funds and understanding how that money is being used. Is it efficient? Is it effective? What are the true needs in the region? And the volunteers are spending easily hundreds of hours each year on this process. And we're proud of this diligent process, and we're able to look donors in the eyes and really show them that the work is being done well. With that, people are often asking, well, what are the needs? How do we truly understand the needs? And with the rich history of allocations process and really knowing that the dollars are making a difference, we wanted to be able to tell these people who are working on allocations what the true needs are. And with that, we started to embark upon a comprehensive needs assessment for the Monadnock region. And we partnered primarily with the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. We had a number of corporate partners come in and support this work as well. And we hired the New Hampshire Center for Public Policy to help us with this needs assessment work so that we know what we're truly looking at and how we can be more effective at addressing those needs. So I wanted to turn this over to Kelly to talk a little bit about, our first priority was to hire Kelly as our collective impact director. And Kelly has been with us for just over a year now. And we're very proud to have Kelly as part of the team. And so I wanted to have Kelly talk a little bit about her work, her role in the community, and what the past year has looked like for both Kelly and the Monadnock United Way, and what that means for the community.
Well, you know, Kathy, you mentioned some history, and it's been fascinating for me to come in at this point in the United Way, because really the history is very, very rich. And I'd love to share with the community a little bit about the Red Feather Club and how we've really evolved over time and where we are now. And it's exciting to think that this is a very homegrown initiative, that it started with people who really cared about the community, who recognized that there was needs out there, and who pulled together to really think about how can we effectively and efficiently really draw the resources of the community together to address these needs. And that's been the history, whether it's the Red Feather Club or the current United Way and the way we're organized. And it will continue to be. When you think about the mission of the United Way, which is really dedicated to improving lives, and does that by mobilizing really diverse partners and bringing them together to have impact on measurable change. And we've done an amazing job of pulling those resources together over the last 62 years. And I think we will continue to do that. And when you look at the current needs that were identified and that I've really been brought in at I think, an exciting time in the history of the United Way, because we recognize it's a changing world and that the energy and the resources are more limited now. And we really need to be able to pull together in a little bit different way than we typically have, and maybe be more focused on how we're utilizing those resources. So that's part of what I'm doing. I'm excited because I have an opportunity to work with all of our partner agencies. We fund over 44 programs, and it's not just about the funding. We're having really an opportunity to provide training right now to our agencies and really work with them to look at how we can focus energy and bring the resources together and mobilize them in a new way, and collectively have impact on our communities. And I feel like that's what I'm part of, certainly. It is exciting, as I said, in the training that we're doing, we're getting more focused on really collecting our information so we can share with the community the impact that these programs have. And that's part of what this show is all about, is really being able to demonstrate not only the ones that we fund, but the people that we partner with, the volunteers, the other organizations, the companies, all of these different groups that we work with who are really making a difference out in our communities. When I think about community and living united, I really think about how we do come together and have that sense of belonging. And I think that sense of belonging is what everybody looks for in life. And we're kind of unique here in the Monadnock region. We have a very strong sense of community. The mountain is certainly a very defining, we know we're home. We know we're home in the Monadnock region, or we're at work, because we can look at that mountain and feel like we belong somewhere. And I think, we have an opportunity through both the needs assessment that was just done by the United Way and the work that's going on with all the partner agencies to really have more of an impact and more outcomes than we've ever had before.
That's great, Kelly. Thank you. And as you were talking, and you mentioned the diminishing resources. So I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit more. And of course, our community knows what's been going on with the economy. But specifically for United Way, we have a very unique fundraising model. We work with the corporate environment in the corporations doing company campaigns and so forth. And in addition to the federal and state funding cuts that our agencies are facing, in the United Way model, the unique fundraising model that we do have, we are finding with the corporations that there are a number of challenges going on for them as well, which is impacting the overall revenue that typically comes through our campaign. So whether we're talking about acquisitions, local leadership leaving the area, complete closings, shutdowns, layoffs. So all of those things are truly, the whole decentralization of the corporate environment is truly impacting the revenue stream that's coming in. So when we talk about this collective effort of really starting to work differently, with our partner agencies and with the community, not just our current partner agencies, but with other nonprofits and others, the corporate sector, the public sector, all of those parties together, which are key partners to be successful in this process, I think about the opportunity around that. And we can say that other United Ways worldwide have been working around this collective impact initiative, and the results that they've seen have been very promising. So if we're looking at a diminishing revenue stream within the corporate environment, what can we do differently? We have to do something differently to really take care of our community together. And so part of this model we found is that many communities come together, and when they've identified a key need and issue in their community, they're able to come together and work on a grant application together around this initiative and really show the collaboration and the partnership. And through this training you've been doing with the agencies, helping them truly articulate the measurable outcomes that they're showing within the work that they do. This kind of work really helps to build the strength of that grant applications. And we're seeing from other United Ways and other communities, millions of dollars coming in through grant dollars that are really starting to diversify the revenue stream that comes in to help address those issues. So where we can't rely so heavily on the corporate environment through our traditional fundraising model, what else can we do that would be effective. And I think do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Kelly?
So you mentioned diversifying our funding, and that's something we are very, very much looking at. And I think we're also working with our partners, and certainly as a staff at the United Way, looking at what are some of the low-cost, no-cost initiatives. How do we be creative? How do we be innovative? How do we engage the community? We've had that strong volunteer base that you talked about. That has been since the start of the United Way. You know, we live by that volunteer base. It is absolutely critical to the work that we do. And we're looking at how do we grow that and grow it in a different way. You know, we've always worked with our corporate partners primarily as donors, but they are a incredible resource at the same time. They have knowledge, they have skills that they can share. And we're looking at some innovative ways to engage them. One of them being, you know, we've talked about a youth social initiative. And we're looking with community partners at really engaging young people, age 18 to 25, to be part of this creative innovation out in the community for social change. Because they truly can probably come up with things that those of us that have been in the field for a long time kind of forget, you know, and lose a little bit of our creativity because we get stuck in places. Young people, you know, we're hoping that they want to stay here, that they build relationships, both with the corporate environment and with the organizations that we do support, and with the other citizens here in the Monadnock region. And so if they choose to stay, they become part of the richness of our community. So I think, you know, from the perspective of where we're heading, there's some exciting things happening, you know, looking at engaging a population that typically may not be quite as involved in ongoing volunteer efforts, on being advocates, and really working with them and helping train them and bringing our corporate partners together with them. What an opportunity.
Yeah, and it is a new initiative that we're really excited about. We've talked often, and even United Way Worldwide has, or across the United States certainly, a lot of college campuses have you know, student campaigns where they're out there trying to raise some dollars, which is great. But it's not really, and we've been talking about a couple of things. One, the out-migration of our young population. That certainly came out in the needs assessment that we've been working on. And the overall challenge of getting our youth connected to philanthropy or giving back to the community. And philanthropy isn't all about dollars. So thinking about how we can truly engage youth in a much more meaningful way rather than, you know, putting out the jar for collecting, you know, pennies, whatever smaller initiatives, that they're really working on a social issue that we will be piloting with Keene State College. And we're proud to start this pilot with them and have some great people at the table, as Kelly mentioned, even from the corporate sector, helping these youth work with overall youth development, leadership skills, and writing proposals and presenting their proposals and looking at truly solving a social issue. And much of their work needs to be focused on the results of the needs assessment that we will have completed. And we are excited to have them see the results of their work through community change. And that's much more exciting to me. Do you, Kelly, want to talk a little bit more about the needs assessment and where we are with that, or what the, you know, sort of timeline is?
Because as the show will demonstrate over time, you know, we have multiple partners working with us, and they are doing some incredible work out there that makes a difference. And so we, as a United Way, about a year and a half ago, engaged in a very different needs assessment than what we had typically done. We've always relied on our partners to really keep us informed, and we really wanted to take a look at the data that was in existence out there. And we worked with the New Hampshire Center for Public Policy, and they reviewed over 158 data sets of all the information about the Monadnock region, the state of New Hampshire, national information, and really did a comparison and pulled on the information we had collected over time from our partners and things to really say, you know, here is the root cause. Here is sort of the bottom line. Unless we address some of these things, it's going to be very, very difficult to change some of what we call the downstream effect. So when you think of this needs assessment identified 3 different areas: economic opportunity, educational attainment, and child welfare. And when you really think about those 3 areas, they are very upstream. If you know, you're standing on the top of a cliff, unless you deal with those things, potentially you're going to go over and you're going to be picking up the pieces down at the bottom. And we traditionally have been picking up pieces down at the bottom. It's the way that most organizations are structured in the human service realm. Not a bad thing, but we're really looking at how do we prevent that? How do we get further ahead of these issues so that we're not dealing with things like substance abuse and teen pregnancy. And if we can address the root causes of those issues, then we'll hopefully have some more impact. So we are working on focusing on that. We have a steering committee right now. We've done listening sessions across the region. Our partners have been very engaged in this. They're looking at how do they fit in focusing on this, and how do they build a shared agenda together, and really a shared goal and vision for how we address some of these things. So that's a new way of operating for everyone. Has its challenges, as any change would. At the same time, I think people are seeing it as an opportunity to maybe really look at their programs and what they're doing and the impact that they have. And also to think about how they maybe work with other people in a different way. You know, the Monadnock region's always been a great collaborator. And this is almost rising above even that collaboration into really looking at not just the work that each individual organization does, but how that work ultimately changes the overall well-being of the population out there. So, you know, the needs assessment has a steering committee right now who's working on that, and that's a group of leaders from across the Monadnock region. It is not the United Way staff in any shape or form involved in that. You know, it's interesting to see where they're going. They're really trying to look at that needs assessment, help prioritize a starting place for the Monadnock region to really look at. And then see how we grow from there, how we can engage these different resources we have. And we are very fortunate in the Monadnock region to have incredible agencies, incredible people who do want to make a difference.
Yeah, and that's been the case for, you know, years, right? So we talked about United Way is 62 years old. I was even thinking back at the history of worldwide. You know, we were founded in like 1882 or something from this one woman in Denver who was working with a couple of priests, and how it's evolved, you know, and now we're the largest charity in the world, raising, you know, $4 billion a year. So just from a fundraising standpoint, but how are we allocating those dollars, and how are we really creating community change? And Worldwide focused on this a number of years ago, and are trying to get most United Ways across the world to focus on education, income, or health. And certainly our needs assessment has fallen right in line with those 3 areas. And that you talked about this needs assessment becoming a common agenda. So if you envision a common agenda, and we're all starting to work around one particular focus document, not one focused area, but a piece that really shows us the pressing needs. And we start allocating our resources, not just in money, but in time and in talent. How do we start to really move the needle on those? So I think it's an exciting new direction. And I believe the timing, we hope to have the phase 2 of the needs assessment done in December, and really be able to share some interesting results from that.
So I think that's very true, and I think we're actually getting ready to come to a close here, Kathy. So I don't know if you have any final thoughts.
I guess, you know, I'll let you close with our hoorah moment with everybody, keeping everybody together, but I just encourage people to keep checking in with us. We'll have some great shows moving forward, and thank you for joining us. And Kelly?
So I want to share that one of the things that we will be doing is we want to know how people in the Monadnock region are living united. So we're going to give you an opportunity to share your stories. You'll hear stories here on our TV show, but you will have an opportunity to contact us at kelly@muw.org with your story. We'll pick some of those stories to share each week. The story that we do share, that person will receive a Live United t-shirt from the United Way. We're hoping you join us in Living United. Remember, give, volunteer, advocate, live united, make a difference.